Hey y'all, I'm back. I'm late, but I'm back. It's your girl Sade Cherie, and I am here with another review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I wanted to talk about reunion part one and part two. I'm not gonna do two separate videos because I'm so late. Now, it wasn't all that to me. I know Andy was like, "Oh, Atlanta is back," and the people were saying, "Oh, it gave all the things." Where they at? Because I mean, it was okay. It wasn't explosive. It wasn't super duper entertaining. It wasn't boring, but I was expecting a little bit more based on what people were saying. Now, let's go through just the major parts of part one. So let's start off with the K Michelle of it all. Like I said last time, K is the plot and a scheme. It's no longer Todd, it's K. Nobody said anything negative about her body prior to the reunion, about her, sleeping around with other people and what they had to say about her and how, she smelled. Nobody said anything about her toes. Nobody came for her at all. And she is the one who brought up Black. The fact that she knew Black, the fact that Black was in her DMs, and then pretended not to know Black. It was so weird. She ended up with first chair. I feel like that was a plot in the scheme. I feel like Kay Michelle knows how reality TV works. And I think she understood, in order to solidify my spot on this show as a newbie, I need to have some sort of conflict. So instead of having real conflict or letting them dig into her personal life outside of her being completely transparent with what's happening with her body and her butt implants, I feel like she created this fake beef with Drew, until she had some real issues going on with Shamia and Portia. So I'm just not a fan of her being on the show. I am a fan of K Michelle and her music, but as far as the Real Housewives of Atlanta, I don't think she's a good fit for the show. I just don't. I think in order to really ingratiate yourself into this group, you have to be transparent. You have to be able to hold your own, explain yourself. When you're upset about what somebody said, go straight to the source, address it head on. Or if you don't, when it comes full circle, because you know it will, you have to be able to stand on your 10 toes and say how you feel and hash it out. And I don't think her natural personality, and maybe it's PTSD from some of the other women she dealt with in the past, I don't think she is capable of having calm, direct discourse or direct discourse as soon as something happens without her going to Twitter and without her blowing things out of proportion, just like with Drew. Even if you were told something off camera by somebody else, Drew never said anything about her negative in any way until she came for Drew. Like it doesn't make sense. Um yeah, she has a battlefield going on in her mind. And I don't know if this is the best place for her. So I'm not here for K Michelle. Now her and Drew got into it. Drew was getting her licks, and as she should, because we now know K Michelle lied, liar. Um, she knew Black, and she tried to make it seem like, oh, well, that's why I didn't want to be associated with him, because he has uh, impending lawsuits about bad business dealings. Don't know. That had nothing to do with what she was saying at all on the show. Again, lies. So they had their back and forth. I feel like Drew won. Drew got the upper hand, and I feel like Drew came with some new energy. I feel like in prior reunions, I feel like there was this element of still wanting to placate the other person and be nice. There was no niceness about it. Drew laid it out as it was. You came for me for no reason. You did know Black. You lied. I proved that you lied. Um, Your body's botched. Her and Portia did say that, which I think were low blows, unfortunately. But Kay knows how to go low, so they went low too. Um, and then Kay Michelle and Portia got into it. Portia told her the truth. You got more than four personalities, honey. You got by 54. And it's just not translating well on camera, not on this show. Um, she told, Portia to close her glory after Portia told her Kay's body has had several lives. And they went back and forth. There's really nothing there to argue about. Again, it was over a man. And I hate to say it, but listening to Kay Michelle, watching how she operates, Kay is very male centered. And how do you join a show full of strong, independent, rich, fabulous, fashionable women and be male centered and bring drama based on men that neither one of y'all are dating anymore? The whole thing with Portia had something to do with an ex of K Michelle's. K Michelle is now married. I don't always agree with Portia, but Portia was right on target with this one. Kay, why would I bring up a man you're not with anymore? A man that I'm not with anymore? A man that was not really important to me or you once you are married. That has nothing to do with you anymore. So any normal married woman, unless that man was your ex fiance, or y'all were together for whatever reason, it didn't work out, but that was one of the loves of your life, that's a different conversation. But that's not what happened with K Michelle. She is very male centered. And I don't know how that's going to pan out, especially given the fact that she says, her and her husband basically have an open marriage. She didn't use that terminology, but based on the description, that's what they got. Which, different folks, different strokes. And she said no strokes is going to cause divorce for her. So there's that. So why even get upset about any of this? Like it doesn't make sense. Again, I feel like she was just trying to have drama, have some sort of tension with some of the ladies, the big dog, of course, Portia, and Drew. I feel like is a target for everyone. And I don't know if that's because they know Drew's going to play along. She's an actress, so she doesn't mind going back and forth. I don't know if that's what it is, but it was okay. Other than that, Portia and Shamia got into it a little bit. We already know what that is. There's no friendship left to be had at this point. Maybe down the line after the show ends. But as of now, I don't see that happening. And I don't think either one of them want it to happen at this point. Too much has been said, too much has been done. Now that you brought mamas into it, it's a wrap. And we didn't learn anything new in that situation. So that was part one. Like I said, everybody was saying, "Oh, it was so good, it was so good." Andy talking about we back, baby. Are we? Yeah, it was just okay. Part two was actually a little bit better to me. Part two, Cynthia came out and debuted her song, Peach Life, I think that's what it was called. And it was very much reminiscent, akin to Tardy for the Party. If you know, you know. If you're OG Atlanta Housewife fan, then you already know what that is. But it gave me that vibe, and I don't expect to hear it at any clubs or on the radio. But it was cute for what it was, and there was a cute moment for all the girls. They were hyping her up, and Andy was dancing. Andy is a hoot. I feel like Andy would be the person at a party on the bar ripping his shirt off, waving it around like a helicopter, screaming, "Yeah!" I can see that for him, and I feel like he's like tremendously fun to be with at a party. Um, After that, they caught Cynthia up on what happened. She did her oh my, oh child. She made her remarks. And then we see Pinky's package. Pinky and Phaedra get into it about the meat gate of it all. So we know it from a viewer standpoint how the rumor started. Phaedra said, "Hey girl, she used to own a Jamaican restaurant." Phaedra never said Pinky ate meat. Shamia took what Phaedra said, ran it to Kelly was the one who said, "You know, Phaedra said you eat meat, girl. She be eating meat," cackling. And Kelly apologized to Pinky. Pinky accepted, but for some reason, Phaedra and Pinky started getting into it. We learned from Pinky, Phaedra had called them people. She called some bosses on her. I didn't really understand as to what she meant. Now, I don't know if there were off camera conversations about, you trying to ruin my reputation saying I eat meat and I keep that thing on me. And by thing, if you're from the South, you already know what that is. If you're not from the South, that means a pew pew. That's the context of the conversation that I got. She did not speak in direct, clear language, but she made it seem like Phaedra called some execs somewhere and said, "Hey, I don't know if we're safe because of what she said." Pinky was not speaking clearly and did not give a verbatim account of what she said. She didn't recount it. Um, from the context, that's kind of what it sounded like. It was like a Brit Edie nod, like how Brit said, "Oh, I keep that thing on me. I got my in the car." I don't know if Pinky said something like that off camera. We didn't see it, we didn't hear it, but apparently that's why Pinky had so much heat for Phaedra. And Phaedra said, "I sure did." She called someone. And then Andy interjected and was like, "Well, I've known Phaedra for, 2 decades. And trust me, if she wanted to make a stink or, make some waves, she would have called me. And she would have called, New York. So I guess the big dogs in New York." And she didn't. And so Phaedra was like, "Exactly. I just wanted to hash this out." And Pinky said she's not apologizing. Phaedra was like, "That's fine. I'm disappointed because you and I have known each other prior to the show. We've done business together." And so it seems like listening to both of them and looking at both of their faces, it seems like there was some real hurt there. Like they had a professional, and I feel like a mutual respect. There's something about like if you see another person who's on your level, someone who is doing really well and they look like you, there's you have like a knowing. There's a knowing experience that you share because you've both had to grind really hard to get where you are. So I feel like they share that mutual respect for each other. And how they ended it when Andy interjected, I think they agreed to move on. Pinky was like, "I'm a mature person and I know how to, have a difficult conversation, let it go and move forward." And so I agree with that. I do agree with that. Her and Angela moved forward after that fight at the beginning of the season. And I think they'll be fine. Now the other thing was Pinky made a comment that none of the women liked, but Phaedra piped up and, had a good perspective. She said, Pinky said, "I did file for bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is a tool at your disposal as a business owner or as a person. If you need to basically hit the restart button, that's a tool at your disposal that not a lot of people know about." And the way Pinky is in general, her personality, it does come off as braggadocious, which is what Phaedra said. And there is no humility anywhere to be found in Pinky's personality, which, doesn't bother me. However, if I am someone who invested in Pinky's business and I heard her say that, I would be pissed and I would never want to do business with her and I would lose respect. And I would tell my friends, my rich friends, do not invest in, any sort of business that this woman has because this is how she thinks and this is how little she cares about wasting people's money. And so Phaedra, piped up and said, it's a very braggadocious way to look at it. People work really hard. Investors, no matter how rich they are, they don't want to lose their money. And the way you're speaking about it is very flippant, and not coming from a place of, uh, and I hate to use the word humility, but that's the only word that keeps coming to mind. Anytime you lose anything, whether it's a job, you lose a business, your marriage fails, your relationship fails, anytime you evaluate the situation, you assess what's going on, and you come up with the word failure. I have failed at X, Y, and Z. There is a level of humility that you feel because now not winning has brought you down, humbled you. Life has humbled you. The situation has humbled you. You are no longer on this pedestal, this platform of success um, that you might have been winning on and talking to people from on a podium. And so the fact that she does not present that side of the loss, it is a very unlikable trait. And I think it's part of the reason why people were not relating to Pinky, because she makes it seem like she's infallible emotionally. So we'll see how that, plays out next season, if she's able to open another location or, get back what she lost. We don't know. And all of the women agree with what Phaedra was saying. I do too. But again, I like Pinky. I understand. I understand her. So I like her. That happened. And then the other major argument I feel like was with Kelly and Portia. So past the gate. Past the gate. Kelly was like, who's sleeping with the pastor? I'm trying to be in church getting the word. And Phaedra and Portia doubled down. Really, Portia doubled down. She took a lie detector test, and the lie detector determined that was not a lie. That Portia was not lying about what she said to Kelly. Now, if we want to dissect this, Portia could be telling the truth on what someone told her. That does not mean that that is what actually happened. Because I lied to you, you believe my lie as the truth. If whoever told Portia Kelly was sleeping with a pastor is lying, that's not going to come up on a lie detector test, because as far as Portia knows, it's the truth. That does not necessarily mean Kelly actually did the deed. You see what I'm saying? Phaedra co-signed it, which does make it look bad for little Kales. I just don't believe it. I really don't. Just because of her reaction when Portia threw it out at her, she didn't overreact. She didn't try to cover. None of that. It was very like, girl, what are you talking about? Because if somebody accused me of that, I'm gonna be like, now what? Say what now? I didn't, but what are you even talking about? Like, explain to me now, who said this? And the fact that Portia won't release a name, I feel like we can't really hold much to that. Like, until we have a name like George, the Shamia and George situation, we can run that down, parse it out, get to the truth. It's a lie. Yeah. And so they were going at it, and Portia basically said, do you want to be my friend or do you want to be on my neck? Kelly said, I'm going to stay on your neck. And then Portia said, I'm going to stay on your back. How about that? And then Kelly said, that's fine, because I'm not letting up off your neck and you ain't got to let off my back. So we already know how that's going to go. And I do feel like Kelly is trying to be a supportive friend to Shamia, which I get. And I appreciate the loyalty. Also, if somebody accused me of sleeping with a married man, I'm not going to be friends with you. So there's that. And then towards the very end, Shamia and Portia started to argue about what? I don't know. But Portia was very much trying to little girl Shamia, like, shut up. This ain't got nothing to do with you. Which, if I was Shamia, I would have straight cussed her out. And that would have been that. Like, I would have cussed you smooth out. Blew your wig back. Ponytail gone. Wig gone. No. Mm-mm. So we'll see how part 3 is. I'm gonna do another video, a separate video for the fashion of it all. The fashions. Everybody looked really good. The only thing is, I hated Kelly's makeup. Whoever did that to her set her up for failure. That blush seemed too much. Like, it just seemed like they just plopped all of the palette on her face. Yeah, no. Anyway, again, like, share, subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel before YouTube implements the changes for content creators. I do want to do more videos. I am a working woman as well. So it's content creation is a job. And I feel like there's a lot that people don't understand. Trying to take time to think out ideas, execute the ideas, film the ideas, edit everything. But I enjoy it. And if you like these videos, you want to hear, more content, please like, share, subscribe. Again, this is a Millie Life, all things millennials like to do, like to talk about. Um, Again, drop down in the comments if you have specific ideas that you want to hear, we talk about, or shows, books. I'm thinking about doing like a travel vlog, and uh, also I have another idea I might come to y'all about. But anyway, have a good day. Again, your girl Sade Cherie, and I will see y'all later.